Humans are a weird bunch. We might have heard something and repeated it without ever checking if it's true or not, and although this was a normal practice before the internet, nowadays it's a bit strange that we still believe a lot of misconceptions, even though there's proof that says they're not true. Today we're going to look at the top 10 myths people still believe. Are you ready? Let's go. Number 1, burned at the stake. Although the Salem witch trials most certainly did happen in the late 17th century, there's a myth that we usually connect to the incident that most of us take for granted. The burning of the witches was mostly a practice that took place in medieval witch trials in Europe, which was common to set the accused woman on fire. But in the Salem witch trials, most accused witches were either hanged or they simply died in jail. They were not burned at the stake as we tend to think. Number 2, the 7-year gum. The popular belief is it takes your body 7 years to digest gum. Well, it's not a good idea to swallow it left and right. You don't have to be afraid, though. If you accidentally swallow it, it's going to stay there for several years because it takes so long to digest it. Our bodies actually can't digest gum at all. But the good news is it doesn't stay in your stomach. It moves quickly through your digestive system and exits through your stool. But again, don't make a habit of it. Number 3, 8 spiders a year. Something that has arachnophobes, and actually all of us more or less, completely freaked out is the misconception that we swallow around 8 spiders a year while we sleep. Although it's technically possible to swallow a spider when you sleep, there's no evidence that you do swallow even one, much less 8 in a single year. Studies have shown that spiders don't intentionally try to come in contact with humans, and the vibrations that come from a sleeping person would probably frighten them. So there, you can sleep peacefully again. Number 4 is the Great Wall of China. A lot of people still believe we can see the Great Wall of China from space, and since it's not actually easy to test the theory, we believe the experts when they tell us it's not so. Most likely, this false theory came to be an attempt to convey how big the Wall of China really is. So if you're in a low space, let's say 180 miles high, you can see not only the Great Wall of China, but also highways, airports, the Kennedy Space Center, and other types of construction. If you go further into space, none of these are visible, with either the human eye or even a photograph, only in radar images. Number 5, Napoleon Bonaparte was a shorty. While we even have a complex named after him, famously called the Napoleon complex, that's used to describe people who overcompensate for their lack of height with aggression, you'll be surprised to know Napoleon wasn't actually that short, aggressive human we tend to think of as a cartoon caricature. But our misconception comes from exactly that. A British cartoonist named James Gilray did a series of caricatures of Napoleon in the early 1800s, depicting him as short and aggressive. Historians say he was most likely an average height, which was about 5'5". Number 6, let 'em eat cake. The famous phrase from Marie Antoinette has been repeated over and over in order to show the royals had no understanding how normal people lived. Famously, Marie Antoinette said, "Let them eat cake" in 1789, misunderstanding the fact that people didn't have bread to eat. She meant they had other kind of food in their houses and not that they were poor. But historians tell us that Marie Antoinette, although she might have been unaware of how poor people actually were, never said this phrase. Number 7, Albert Einstein was not good at math. To continue with the famous history figure misconceptions, here's a popular one that people love to use when someone fails at something in order to cheer them up, is even that the genius Albert Einstein failed his math class. Well, while the notion is that you have to try again and again to succeed at something is correct, Einstein didn't actually fail his math class. Einstein himself disputed the article that said so, claiming he was at the top of his class in primary school. "Before I was 15, I had mastered differential and integral calculus," he added. Number 8, the forbidden fruit might have been a mango, or a pear, or a pineapple, or any fruit for that matter. The Bible might say that Adam and Eve ate a forbidden fruit, but it doesn't specify that it was actually an apple anywhere in the text. Actually, the apple depiction was the result of confusion with the Hebrew Bible being translated into Latin using the term malus, which translate to both evil and apple. Number 9, cracking your knuckles. If you're one of those people who loves to crack their knuckles, then you've surely heard a million times that if you keep doing that, you're going to have arthritis. Well, you can now rejoice because according to the Harvard Medical School, it's a myth and nothing more. The noise your knuckles make is actually collapsing gas bubbles, and they do say it doesn't cause arthritis, but it can weaken the strength of your grip. So crack your knuckles responsibly, please. And we've all heard number 10, blind as a bat. You know the phrase. You probably used it yourself when you wanted to describe someone who can't see, but no matter how often we hear it or say it, again, still a myth. Bats are not actually blind, and according to what specialists say, bats can actually see 3 times better than a human. Do you think there's a group of bats somewhere saying that their friend is as blind as a human and then they laugh? Because the joke is definitely on us. Well, there you have it for today, the top 10 myths that even though they're debunked, people still believe them. Do you know any others we can include in our list? Let us know down in the comments, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you next time.